Look around you, look beyond. But right now, look what I got here. Remember Shaman King? Did you also know it turned 20 years old in 2018? And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? It means that everyone who followed this series when it first was released is now, unless you've been traveling through space and happen to experience time differently relatively to us on Earth, an adult. Like me. And so, it's time to reintroduce this classic series to a new, fresh audience. And what better way to do that than with a brand new anime coming next year. But for the older fans who are already nostalgic, fans with money to spend and shelves to fill, or at least think they do, fans with a cavity in their soul that can partially be filled with human-shaped plastic, we already have some merchandise. This comes to us through Kotobukiya's ARTFX-J line. Greetings Wanderer, my name is Bendicris, and welcome to the channel Flameburst Industries, hosted by me and my colleague, the Knight of Wrath. Here, we plan to post videos on a variety of topics, ranging from reviews to miniature model building. This is going to be my first video, and I'm open to your opinion on how I can improve the channel. Please enjoy! Shaman King was originally published in Shonen Jump magazine. It started its run back in 1998, which means it ran alongside series like Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece and Naruto. Shaman King, however, never reached the same amount of extreme popularity as those series did, which means you get more hipster points if you prefer it over any of those more popular manga, but not that many. Jump is still a very popular publication as a whole. It's very likely you've known about it after all. Despite getting an anime adaptation and the lingering popularity, the manga still got tragically cancelled before it could reach a proper conclusion. However, the author, Hiroyuki Takei, bravely never gave up on the series, which culminated in him eventually being able to finish it in a later book release. Takei-sensei strikes me as a bit of a rebel, and there was always a struggle between his artistic intentions and those of the popularity-minded editors at Shonen Jump magazine. Nowadays, Takei has switched to a new publisher, and he has taken his intellectual property with him. Currently, a sequel manga is still being released. So don't expect Yo Asakura to show up in any Shonen Jump crossover games in the future, despite him being an iconic Jump protagonist. Maybe that's for the better. The boxes I have here come with new illustrations by the original artist. His style certainly changed much over the years. The upcoming anime, from the looks of it, it's basing its character designs off the newer style. I would recognize Takei's line art from miles away, and you'd think it would be hard to translate into 3D. Of course, there are no outer lines in figurines. Yet, I still believe we ended up with some pretty faithful sculpts. The angular nature of Takei's designs are still very present in their clothing and hair. He supposedly supervised the making of these sculpts, so if my mark of quality means little to you, you can still put your trust in the sensei. First of all, we have Yo Asakura, sculpted by Tomomi Tsukiya. Yo is our main character. He's a descendant from a long line of shamans. A first glance at this character already betrays his personality quite a bit. You're telling me this hippie is an action manga protagonist? This is a guy who stares at clouds all day, listening to music. He didn't even bother to button up his shirt. A hero like this really stands out between Jump's lineup of mostly hyperactive protagonists. Luckily, Yo was betrothed at an early age by his relatives to a girl who manages to get him to lift his ass off the ground. Anna and Yo complement each other, you see. Hooking up in most battle manga seems like an afterthought. In Shaman King, it actually moved the story along. I don't think having Yo as a hero in that kind of series would have worked otherwise. Anna helps Yo towards his ultimate goal, and it is of course to become the Shaman King, which basically means having the privilege of fusing with the Great Spirit, aka God himself, laying out humanity's path for the next 500 years. And how do you prove yourself worthy of that? Well, by fighting in a big tournament, of course. It is heavily implied in the story that Jesus Christ and Buddha were former Shaman Kings. The theological implications of this are too much to count. What spirit did Jesus Christ use before fusing with God? Because, according to Shaman King, every shaman needs a trusted spirit companion. The bond you have with your spirit is what this entire series battle system is built around after all. And as you see, Yo isn't alone here. His main spirit, the samurai Amidamaru, is with him in ball form, carrying little ghost swords. You know, there's this thing in Japanese culture where spirits appear as balls of spirit energy. Think ghastly, but without the poison element. Yo also carries Amidamaru's original sword. You have to carefully push it into his hand. Some delicacy is required. You don't want to break it. Shaman King is a series where the trope of the main character having an evil twin brother is actually played straight. And for Yo, that's how Asakura. Well, it's not really played straight because he isn't only his brother, he's also his great grandfather. But I'm not gonna explain it right now. If you want an explanation, you should read the manga. When the original anime was dubbed into English by 4Kids, Hao's name was changed to Zeke. I don't know why. Maybe Zeke sounds more evil. Hao comes with his signature long hair and cloak. He also has his Lego-inspired shoes and gloves. I wonder if any real Lego pieces would fit onto these. In his hand, he's holding his main spirit companion, SOF, the Spirit of Fire. Which kinda seems unfair if you ask me. Yo gets a badass human samurai warrior? Well, Hao gets the embodiment of one of the major elements that make up the universe. According to classical ideas of the universe at least. That's the kind of outdated science most fiction tend to use. Is there a spirit for each modern element? A spirit of helium? A spirit of tungsten? Of course not, that would be silly. Spirit of fire though, that's awesome. These figures were sculpted to be put next to each other. Another great technique to incentivize buying them both for an adversarial family reunion. But what's this? Another challenger for the illustrious title of Shaman King? Yes, I also got Ren Tao, the short Chinese short-shorted shaman. This boy is clad in pure gold. Well, it's probably not pure gold, just gold colored. Would be terribly difficult to move otherwise. It all seems a bit extravagant if you ask me. I get it, man. You're rich. Here we see Ren charging towards his rivals, with both his spear and his hair ready to stab your abdominal area. And if you thought Yo's sword seemed fragile, this spear looks like it could snap in two like a toothpick. It doesn't help that you need to shove it through his little boy hand for it to be in the correct spot. A nice detail is the briefcase beside him, in which he kept the spear folded up. You can even see the straps used for that very purpose if you look inside it. Ren is introduced as Yo's rival early on. He's a cocky little bastard, that's what he is. Ren's spirit is called Basson, a big former Chinese general. On this figure, Basson already sticks to Ren's hand. In ball form, Basson's eye peek from right underneath his helmet. You can only see them in a specific angle. For this figure, they decided to paint on the shine of his hair. Of course, he's always drawn with the zigzagging line in the series, so he'd look weird without it. Starting February, the Shaman King manga will be re-released as omnibus editions in English. This will finally give me the opportunity to own the true ending as a physical copy. The true ending will also most likely be adapted in a new anime coming this April. Will it be good? I sure hope it will. Are you looking forward to what modern audiences have to say about Shokolove on Twitter? I sure am! Speaking of shamans, have you watched the Jujutsu Kaisen anime? That's also about quote-unquote shamans. I recommend it. Maybe give it a watch and figure out which one's your favorite shaman series from the pages of Jump. For now, I'm happy with these figures. They look perfectly like the characters they are meant to represent, unlike cheaper merchandise you can also find online. The paint job is basically what you would expect from a limited figure at this price range. If I wasn't clear enough, if you are a huge Shaman King fan, these are definitely the figures for you. And that's it from me, guys. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up. If you desire to see more content forged and created in the flames of hate and passion, remember to subscribe to the channel. Goodbye!